Ever seen someone who diligently buys plants, but their house still looks like a disaster zone? That's Ophelia. I just watered her rare Monstera collection with boiling water while she was sleeping, and strangely, seeing those leaves wilt made me feel like I could finally breathe in relief, without having to feel like living in a suffocating jungle. Ophelia is sweet, but she has a weird obsession with turning our two-bedroom apartment into a private Amazon. Just imagine, even going to the bathroom you have to pass through bushes, and every morning I have to clean up the bits of soil that fall onto my white tile floor. I've spoken gently. I've protested loudly, but she just says, "They are oxygen, you know?" Okay, then I'll give them oxygen that's a little warmer. I'm not the type of person who likes commotion. I prefer working in silence, like fungus growing behind a cabinet. Midnight, when Ophelia was already snoring, I woke up. I brought an electric kettle to the living room. I poured hot water onto that Monstera variegata worth millions. Not boiling to the extreme, just enough to make its roots shocked and die slowly. My hands didn't tremble. In fact, I felt very calm. There was a strange satisfaction in seeing leaves that were usually upright start drooping, wilted by the hot steam. I tidied the pot again, wiped the water droplets on the floor, and returned to bed. The next day, Rico, the know-it-all guy from the plant community, was coming to see Ophelia's collection. I had to make sure everything looked like a natural disaster, not a planned crime. When Rico arrived, he immediately got suspicious. "This is weird. How could they wilt all at once like this?" he said while using a magnifying glass. My heart pounded for a moment, but I immediately took action. I deliberately spilled orange juice onto the carpet near him. His focus broke. He got busy helping me wipe the floor and forgot about analyzing the roots. Ophelia came out of the room and immediately screamed hysterically. She cried like she'd lost a family member. And there I was, with the saddest face I could make, hugging her. Maybe this is because of the extreme weather lately. "You've done your best, Ophelia," I said while stroking her head. I felt like a great actor who deserved an award. The funniest moment was when we threw all those plants into the downstairs trash bin. Ophelia was so weak, she said she didn't want to garden anymore. She said she was a plant killer. I just gave a faint smile behind her shoulder. In my heart I said, "You're not the killer, Ophelia." "I am." That night, we ordered food and sat in the living room that was now empty. No more smell of wet soil, no more tiny mosquitoes flying in front of my face. I felt like this apartment was finally mine again. I could see my white walls without being covered by big leaves. I know, I just ruined her happiness. But honestly, I love my peace more than her expensive Monstera. Now she talks to me more often instead of talking to plants. Is a crime committed for the sake of peace actually a crime or public service? Honestly, I did feel disgusted with myself when I saw Ophelia sobbing. But every time I remember how damp my pillow was because of the steam from those plants, the guilt immediately disappears. I feel like my action was a necessary cleansing. I justified myself by thinking that I saved her from worse madness. I like this control. I like the fact that I'm the one who decides when this jungle ends. Ophelia now depends on me more for entertainment. She's no longer busy with her own world. She's back in my world. That's what I was really looking for, her attention that isn't divided with that silly hobby. Maybe I'm selfish, but aren't we all monsters in someone else's story? However, control is something addictive yet fragile. A week after that massive cleansing, our apartment felt so spacious, clean, and dead. Ophelia no longer wakes up in the morning excited to check new sprouts. She spends more time on the sofa, staring at the white wall that used to be covered by lush leaves. She did return to my world, but she returned as an empty version of herself. "Are you okay, Ophelia?" I asked one night while offering warm tea. She looked at me, her eyes still slightly puffy. Then she said, I just feel like something is missing, not just the plants. I feel I failed to take care of something I love. Am I that bad at nurturing life? That sentence hit me harder than the hot steam I poured onto her monstera's roots. I saw her confidence crumble, just like the leaves I killed. I won, but I started to realize that what I destroyed wasn't just a hobby, but the spark in her eyes. The peace I longed for apparently has a very loud sound: silence. 2 days later, I came home from work and found a big cardboard box in front of the door. My heart pounded fast. Don't tell me she bought more, I thought with my hands clenched. I went in and found Ophelia sitting on the floor. But this time there wasn't soil scattered around. She was assembling something made of plastic and small cables. What is that? I asked, trying to keep my tone flat. Studio lights and aquascape equipment, she answered without turning around. Rico said if I'm not talented on land, maybe I should try in water. A closed ecosystem inside a big aquarium. He said the water has to always be warm and flowing. She turned to me with a smile I hadn't seen in a long time, a smile full of a new obsession. Later we'll put it in the corner of the living room, okay? It's 2 meters in size. We need a pump whose humming sound will be heard all night so the circulation is good. I stood stunned looking at the brochure in her hand. An aquatic ecosystem that needs huge electricity, high humidity, and constant machine noise. A new jungle, only this time in the form of glass that I can't douse with hot water to kill it. I realized one thing: Ophelia is a force of nature. She will always find a way to grow, and I am just fungus behind a cabinet trying to stop spring. Nice, right? She asked hopefully. I looked at my clean white wall for the last time, then slowly nodded. Yes, nice, Ophelia. As long as you're happy. I sat beside her, staring at the sketch of that giant aquarium, and started thinking about how much salt would be needed to kill a freshwater ecosystem without making the water cloudy. I discarded my plan to add salt. No, salt is too risky. Rico definitely has a precise digital salinity meter. I need something more subtle. I need something that leaves no chemical trace but is lethal enough for aquatic life. Ophelia, I called while watching her fill water into that giant aquarium. I'll help install the filtration system, okay? So you don't get tired. She looked at me with sparkling eyes, full of emotion because she thought I finally supported her hobby. She didn't know that I was eyeing its intake pipe. A slight blockage in the air valve, or maybe a small sabotage to the heater temperature that makes it rise 2 degrees every night, hot enough to boil that ecosystem alive without ever triggering suspicion. I smiled back, my hand touching the cold glass surface. Behind my reflection, I could already imagine those fish floating and the aquatic plants rotting into disgusting green mush. Thank you, darling, she whispered while hugging my arm. You're welcome, Ophelia. We'll make sure this is memorable. What's the most sinful thing you've ever done to your own friend just to make your life more comfortable? And until now, they still don't know it was your doing? Come on, confess. This confession space is safe.